Dang, Vader.
Oh,
That's
God.
already happened.
Well, here we are.
I don't know. Raining on the parade. Bender, you got it.
Here we go. This is my last introduction ever. Mostly because I refuse to do it. Not the last bro chat, though. And I'm also not going to do it. So we're just have to look at Vader smiling over there. Why do you have a mustache right now anyway? You're at home.
I think mine literally just froze.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm here with you.
Okay, was it
my
Bender?
friend.
I was like, I'm sitting here like, this is going to be the best intro ever. And then it just went, nothing.
I think this is Bender's way of getting out of doing the intro.
It was just all stop motion on Bender's side.
Is it still frozen?
Yeah.
You're kind of back. You're about, what is it, like 360p? I think that might be the 56K dial up.
Oh, gosh. It's probably my interwebs.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like it was doing fine
for a second.
What would you do in F-35?
All right. Well, I think it's recording fine, probably. So when you actually release it, we're just going to be talking about stuff that no one else notices.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, here
let's
we
go.
are.
Here we go. This is
Cold Iron
Bro
Restart.
Chat 15, I think, right? Bro Chat
Thereabouts.
15. I must be frozen because you guys aren't responding to me in real time.
Yeah,
so.
You got a delay. It's like you're talking in a stadium, and you got the delay right now, so you got to fight it.
Yeah. We're going to start this over. This is the worst one yet.
This is the best one yet.
Welcome to the Bro Chat.
Whatever. Here we go. So Bro Chat 15. And this is the final, I guess. I mean, I'm going to let Vader kind of fill in, but at least for a little while, the final KSP release until, he gets more time. You gotta stop having kids. I know that. That's my lesson learned. Like, they take a lot of time, they're Vader. So just dial it back a little bit.
Which
Anyway,
I'm
hey,
gonna
Rain.
bring
Hey,
it
Vader.
all the way back.
Hey, welcome. This is a 2 minute and 7-second intro.
Perfect.
What is happening?
I just want to let everybody know that Bender was also the guy back in Masawa who was like, have more kids. You always want to have more kids. And now he's like, hey, you need to slow down on the kids. So we need to remember that when you're getting advice from Bender, everybody.
Yeah.
That was before his like last shot, though, so to speak. With hey, we're just gonna do one more, and then boom, twins. So those,
We got two. Yeah. Rain. I mean, you're probably coming out of the survival mode. You might still
I
be in
think
it.
still in it. They just turned 2, which people have like, oh, it gets easier.
you're
But
in it.
actually, so I was at Guns Garen golf tournament 2 weeks ago. Ran into Hyde, phenomenal human being. But Hyde, he's got twins. He was one who called me when,
Does he?
and he was like, "This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life." And Hyde being a black border patch, I was like, "Nah, this is not a good sign." And then I just saw him last week, and he goes, "Yeah, it's still really tough and really hard." So it's like maybe like 3.5, 4. They like some self-sustainment, some survival skills, but now we're in the weeds.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Yeah. It's hard to keep them alive for the first 3 or 4 years.
Well, yeah, and like they're all on a different.
Yeah, mine are 6 now, so they're doing better.
way because they can get something if they're hungry. But my deal is like they're always like one sick, and then a week later the next one's sick. It's always like a continuous thing. Never at the same time. Like we can't just rip the Band-Aid off and get this stuff done with. It's like, you're sick this week. Oh, you're in a good mood now. You're in a bad mood, and then flip flop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's having not experienced twins, that seems having one little one just over a year is like, just chasing them, just directions, and they're moving all over. And having a second one probably moving in like an opposite direction would complicate things exceptionally, I can imagine. Probably even more than 100% more complicated.
It's like an exponential thing.
Yeah, there's some math involved there.
Yeah, math.
Yeah.
Well, and like
we get text.
They don't
when they were real little, like from the neighbors. They'd be like, "Hey, is this your child?" With a picture of a naked child running down the street, like 4 houses down. Like, gosh, like I swear I just saw him like 5 seconds ago. Like, how is that happening?
They're very crafty and fast, and also don't have a survival instinct just quite yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they just think that the other is gonna be fine. Like I can do whatever because I got a backup. Maybe that's just like how they're born.
Got spares.
Yeah. Do they seem like, I've always heard that where like twins will have their own little like way of communicating and their own like they're very close and have these little styles. Have you seen that with the twins versus your other kids or no? Neither.
Was that a
Yeah,
bigger
I think
question?
so.
Well, it's like,
Well, it's both. It's a both of
Oh.
you question, I guess, because it's a
Well,
play.
Ours have
I'd be interested because yours are fraternal, obviously.
yep.
So I wonder if there's any difference. I mean, I don't
So
know. I mean,
our-
it's science, so I don't know.
Ours communicate via violence. So when one has something the other one wants, or vice versa, it's usually push, take, pull. So like we're battling that right now. It's like, I understand that you're frustrated, and your only way to communicate is to like rip that out of your sister's hand or your brother's hand or hit them. But like as a functioning member of society, you can't do it. So we're teaching them those lessons right now. I don't know, like maybe they one day will have a communication thing, but right now it's competition for survival, I suppose.
Yeah.
What about you,
Limited
Ben?
resources. It's prison food.
Right.
Mine never. Ours didn't ever really. There's not a whole lot of competition between the two of them. That's probably because they're, just like dominating all the other children in the house constantly. So there is competition between those two and the others. And so any violence is generally between them and another sibling. I don't know, man. They're funny. They're way different than the other kids, and they have learned. All my kids are really smart. Like they're all great. These two are like scary, and I think it's because they just build off each other. So they have learned to do things that none of the other kids like thought to do. Which is a problem when they don't have survival instincts, like you're saying. But yeah, I don't know. It's been really interesting to watch them kind of grow up. And now they started kindergarten like a couple months ago, and the stories that come back from their teachers are pretty funny to hear. But they have zero respect for authority at all. So it's just like one of them is like really strong-willed, and the other one is more. He like apologizes for the strong-willed one. Anyway, they're funny to watch them together. But like they had to create a disciplinary system in kindergarten that didn't exist before my son Mac got there. But he would just be like, "I'm not doing that." And Jeff would be like, "He's not doing that." Would explain for him or whatever. So he'd come home with like cloudy skies. Like he refused to participate in music and PE and lunch and recess. So he's like, "I'm not doing that." And he would just like walk to a corner of the school and be like, "I'm not going anywhere." So it's been a learning curve, yeah, for sure.
That's good.
Fun though.
You got to keep those teachers on their toes. You can't just give them little angels every time. That's what we do. At my house, my oldest, he challenges authority as well. So I assume they would get along pretty well.
Probably.
The random shifting gears, but Bender, do you see that Dragon is running for office? What is it? Senate, Congress,
the Senate in Maryland, I think.
Yeah, in Maryland. So Rain, we talked to retired one-star Dragon Tykert. He was like the wing commander at Edwards. Was the first dude to drop a bomb out of the F-22, and test pilot guy. And we like talked to him on the KSP, and yeah, I saw that he was like running for office. I was like, oh, sick.
Is he running for like the U.S. Senate or U.S. Congress or state?
Yeah, U.S. Senate.
I think
I'm
U.S.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up, but I support his campaign because I've talked to him.
Well, and
he seems pretty legit. In fact, so we were like, hey, like, this is one thing that bothers me about the F-35. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, I understand or whatever. And then, like, a couple weeks later, he was like, hey, I talked to this general who talked to the wing commander at Edwards who talked to the test team. And he was like, we're going to see if we can get this done or whatever. I'm like, wow, like, that's legit. So he's one of the good ones, I think.
Well, you said, I think his campaign slogan is leadership, not politics. And while running for office, and I was like, that sounds good. I like the sound of that, but we'll see how that actually, meets first contact.
Not knowing anything about it, it'd be a tough thing to do. At some point, like you need money, right, to fund your campaign, and so even with the best of intentions, and not saying it changes for everyone, I would not want to do it. Like at some point, you're balancing, needs and like what you really want to do, but like, well, I need that donation so I can buy more campaign posters and put them out there so I get voted in. That's tough Tough thing
Now
to
you
do.
just he's probably
It'd be tough to.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh,
Vader.
I was gonna say a useless statement. I was just gonna say he's probably making TikToks or videos or something, but not actually useful to the conversation. Just,
I don't even know how to do that.
yeah,
If he's making TikTok videos, yeah, I mean that is against U.S. military and government
yeah,
policy.
he's retired
No
though.
TikTok.
He's I mean, he's got to reach out to those
That's
young
true. He can do
voters.
what he wants.
Yep. Got to reach them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only way they get their information.
Most people on that podcast be like, "Oh, we're working on," they'd be like, "We're working on another project. It'll be cool or whatever." And they're like little projects here and there. And he's like, "Oh, I'm working on something. It'll be kind of cool." And he's running for the U.S. Senate. It's like that's a kind of a big project. I feel like big effort.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing was like, I mean, we talked to him and such a polished speaker. Like you could tell, like he was probably one of the generals that when you'd hear him speak, you're like, that guy knows what he's talking about. But then I had talked to other people who worked for him over the years, and they were like, awesome dude, like best dude I've ever worked for. So it was one of those like where the bro checked out. So that was cool. So it's good. Hopefully, makes progress, does something cool.
Yeah, that's what we need. Need good people doing that stuff. Speaking of generals and bro checks, we never got Maestro on here. And that's I pinged him. He did say he would do it, but I know you talked to him. I think we just got to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, I think it was gonna happen last Thanksgiving, so about a year ago, and then we are the ones that bailed on him.
Turns out, I mean, he's kind of busy.
Bad for us.
I mean, he has like a really busy job,
Yeah,
but
he is busy.
he's not here now to defend himself.
He's actually doing really good work.
Yeah, but he can't defend himself now. So
come on, Maestro, the people want you. I'm sure he listens to this.
I'm sure he
time,
does.
Right?
Yeah, it's probably the minute it drops. It's the first thing he does.
As he's sitting in traffic in D.C. for 6 hours a day.
Yeah, what else is he going to be doing?
There's another bro chat out.
Oh, well, gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like last time we
He's
did
a
this.
touchdown. We got to get him on
Yeah,
the
we
show.
did. We do. I messed up the last bro chat we had. Then we had scheduled with Mace. It was all lined up. I screwed up my schedule. But the one we actually last recorded, I was in Singapore. So, I mean, I feel like we've had a lot going on the last 2 months. What's been new with you guys?
Well, I didn't end up going on the TSP, so that opened up a lot of time to work on my secondary job, which is the security side of life, which is not as fun as flying airplanes, which means I don't fly airplanes that often. So the other day I was flying a night sortie. The C model is kind of terrifying to fly at night. It is. I never realized it until that night sortie. The mirrors, like the rear view mirrors that you can use to air refuel, which I don't still understand because it's reverse. So I'd probably run into the tanker if I tried to use them. But the mirrors were reflecting my own aircraft lights back towards me into my NVGs, causing more like glare. Because I could not figure out where the glare was coming from. I'd turn the lights all the way down. I'd do all that stuff. And then it's like any backlighting is not NVG compatible. So it just like complete halo. So it's like you've got this huge canopy bow, and then on either side of the canopy bow is just the halo of light. So it is wild. Like I'm in there like it'd almost be better without NVGs. Like it's aggressive, especially on low illum nights. That was.
So another win for a canopy bow.
Yeah, which I think back, and you guys,
you're gonna want that thing.
You guys remember back like when we were young flying the F-16, and it was one of those like heinous weather. At least at Masawa, like, and in South Carolina would get bad weather too, like, but like just terrible weather. I didn't feel like this is super sketchy. I was just like, oh yeah, there's another night sortie, and I had like 112 hours in the airplane, and no stress, not even like, well, man, you could totally die here. And now in the C model, I'm like, what am I doing out here? Like, this is nuts. Like, am I the only one this happens over the years?
Do you think that's based on experience and now realizing how dangerous this is, or is it the C model just that bad of a plane? We can say it.
I think it's probably. I think it's my experience, especially sitting in the back seat of students and having seen like, holy smokes, what are you doing here? Kind of thing. And then knowing like, hey, we don't want this to go sideways, you know, because you're on your own. But
I assume you did backseat night rides at Holloman.
Oh yeah.
Did you do did we do night SFOs?
No night at,
Okay.
not to, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I feel like I
We
did.
didn't?
And like the B
Straight,
course.
I thought we did straight in SFOs at night.
Yeah, like the B course.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think I ever did one. If I did, I
And then
know
just
somebody, the
And pull and
bros.
closed.
Well, so you would do like overhead patterns at night. I would not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was in
Yeah.
the back seat, I was like, no. The only place in the Air Force you get to do them is at the FTU.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're not doing it. Like, because you're going to go to the CAF, you're going to go to Shaw.
Why would you practice that?
Right.
to get more patterns? You would take off in a 2-bag F-16 to do minimal area work and patterns. And they were like, you need to do overheads to get more patterns. And it's like, I'm not doing 13 overhead
Why? I don't
patterns at night
understand.
with this student. Yeah.
Just to get more landing,
Yep.
like just more final approach experience
Exactly.
at night?
Yep.
Ugh.
That's dumb.
So we
Yeah.
would just do radar vectors instead of 150 per pattern, you know, gas, 150 pounds of gas per pattern. It was like 400 pounds. And I was like, that's fine. And
yeah.
you'll be good in the future, you know. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, cause there's like 10 night flights in the F-16B course, and 2 of them are like primarily landing sorties. And so you're like, all right. And again, practicing in like an overnugget doesn't prepare you to fly a TACAN that's 25 degrees off, you know, final approach, the actual runway heading. Like, just fly approaches, what you're actually going to do. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I was mayor of Cockpit City those nights. You know?
That's right. Well, I was thinking, I was like, yeah, we did
right.
that. That does seem really
Sketch.
dumb.
I don't remember doing overheads.
I-
I must have had an IP like you that was like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing
I
it.
remember pulling closed all the time. My 2 sorties, whatever it was.
At night?
Oh yeah, at night.
At night, pulling
Yeah.
closed.
And then like you have
Maybe
a
we
total of like 13 hours in the jet at that point. So you're like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah. Just make it
yeah,
look like
hindsight.
daytime. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Dude,
fine.
the first MBG ride, the night rides in the B course were, I remember being terrified of those. So
Yeah.
the pattern stuff, I don't remember that much, but I remember like not having any idea where my flight lead was on any of those rides. Like, what is happening? And I flew Block 25, so there's no like, there's no link, there's no nothing. Like, it was just like find the blinking lights, you know, looking across at freaking Phoenix, and then I'm like, there are 7,000 blinking lights. Like, I don't know who's who. And
Is
then
that six
one time I
blinking
just
lights?
remember like he called I can't remember what it was, but anyway, I just remember the shadow of his airplane like crossing over top of me, like one night, having zero idea that we had made that turn. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is sketch. But you know, I made it. Here I am.
Yeah, look at you
I don't
now.
fly close to airplanes at night anymore.
Yeah, I was trying to think like the scariest night story I have. We did have a guy in our B course who tried to rejoin with a cell phone tower on departure. I think mine were just trying to. It was so much work, you know, trying to get used to like looking through the soda straw, but then like looking under MVGs, looking outside, trying to figure out like, oh yeah, is that my flight lead or is that a star? And they're like, okay, I have to look under my MVGs, and then we're gonna go coverts. Now I can't look under my MVGs and see anything, so that's just terrible.
Yeah. No, I had
Yeah.
I've had a few unfortunate night experiences. Luckily they worked out. But when I was the B courser, we were doing night 2VXTI, like, or to like intercepts. So like you would get a night visual ID and like run like what you would do as a 2-ship airborne, but at night. And it was 2v2. So there's 2 bad guys and 2 of us. And we were on this unaware intercept, or they are unaware of us intercept. And so it's like your flight lead locks one, you lock the other one. And as I deploy to like a defense in depth kind of position for their like WID, I break lock. So then I'm like trying to get a new lock as we were going to this merge, and I pull the other jet into my HUD to get a bore sight lock. And I'm like, not good, like just not looking good. And I come off of that because I'm like looking at the jet and I like see the lights and I'm like, And then turns out like we're inside of a mile at night, like 90 degrees out. And we were way closer than anybody wanted to be. And my IP who's in my backseat was like, "Did you see that other jet?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was trying to lock them." Like, and it was like, "Gosh, like, how insane!" Yeah, exactly. Seriously, we're all going this time. But yeah, well, well, and then when I was then, you always get your comeuppance. When I'm an FTU IP, I'm sitting in the back seat, and we are on our way to the tanker. Number one is obviously leading. I'm in the back seat of number two. Because at night, even though they've tanked during the day, they have to get a IP in their backseat to air refuel at night. So we go, like we're just following one, and I'm watching, and he like sets mill power. And we're at like 3,000 feet away from one. And I'm like, why mill power? And I see we have like 70 knots of overtake on one. And I was like, all right, this is, so like your hands kind of like go closer to the controls, as you kind of get closer to the dangerous spot. And then he finally realizes, like, as we're approaching 1,500 feet from one, and we have like a vertical offset and everything. So we're not going to like hit one, but we're going to pass one like a big dog in a second. And he rips the power to idle, rolls inverted, and does like a 6G pull away from one at night. And again, we're not going to hit him. We're just going to like pass. And we check away. We're now like a mile and a half because, every big correction always like is insane. And we like roll upright, and you can kind of hear him like in the intercom. And I just go hot mic, and I was like, don't do that again. And then just go call him back. And and because he knew it, like there's nothing I'm going to tell him that he, could have done. But yeah, it was one of those, like, I'm just there for the air refueling. I'm not there for anything else. He already has demonstrated he can fly at night. And then turns out he was struggling. But yeah, it's, I think we've all been there. Just like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. An overreaction, still a reaction. Did you guys see that? Was it a J11 and the B-52? That guy was overshooting like a big dog.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know they had the same speed brake as the C model. Those things are very similar to the Eagle.
On the backside?
Yeah.
It's strange. They have similar things. I mean, it's not like they steal anything ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was comical to see like the huge board come up and like trying to slow down on the overtake. He has to have closure or at like airspeed. Were you going to get the video?
Yeah, can we get the video?
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be, all right, this is, what could go wrong here?
That's right.
All right.
We got to give feedback on his rejoin.
That's right. All right, so I'm going to share.
What we should do every bro chat. Just pull up some random video of somebody flying and just make fun of them. It'd be great.
So, let's see. Hit share. Can you guys see the underneath shot? Okay, this is like the DOD, their press release. Oh wait, no, this is the guy just chilling. So I'm about to find another one. But while we do this, you can see the guy just hanging out on his wing while I find this is B-52, right? This was last week.
I mean, that's not a B-52 right there, though.
No, this is a P3. I think.
Got props on the old B-52. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's the Bear.
This is the one that got released. They did all these flares popping off. Did you guys see all these? I'm sure you did.
No.
These are
I haven't seen all these.
Oh yeah, they released a ton of photos because it's all like just hanging out on the wing. I'm guessing that's a P8.
Oh. Yeah.
Look at
that. He's not very stable over there.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's like clear air, dude. Like
he's probably reaching for his Polaroid camera.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. That was loud.
That's some audio. Yeah. Look at that.
While you guys are viewing this, I'm trying to pull up the B-52 one.
Yeah, you can see. So everybody looking at
are so massive.
Huge.
It's hard to tell.
48-foot wingspan, right?
Yeah, they're just enormous. Like a Viper next to that just looks just tiny.
Well, that was the other day. I was flying a C model, which is smaller than that plane. And you put like a couple C models on the wing of a 135, and you're like, 35 is not that big. Like the 135, rather. Yeah. Like the KC-135 tanker is not that much larger than a C model.
All right, here we go. This is the unprofessional intercept of the US B-52.
Unprofessional.
DVIDs.
Some strong language there. Really send a message.
Yeah.
right? A lot of all right. I'm just really proud I was able to pull this up. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Technology. Look at that speed brake. It's C model-esque.
You know, like I was just like, oh, I mean, I don't even know how you do that. It's so bad.
There's north. Look at that panel. That's just super cold. You notice that?
Yeah, look at that. It is.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what that
his
is.
feet are. It's just freezing to death.
That's his environmental control system, keeping him nice and cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, look at how hot those motors are, like up top, you know?
Yeah, like on top of it. Well, I wonder if they have the same speed brake, maybe they have the same like exhaust port for their ECS up top.
Oh yeah,
because that's definitely a good IR signature on the top of the aircraft. Probably not what you want to.
Yeah, probably not what you want, huh? I was thinking anytime having like the Viper in there is like, it's not that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's heat matters when you're shooting advanced IR missiles.
All right, we're going to watch this again because it took me all this time to pull it up, but just look at this clown.
Look at all those tracks that it's building now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good targeting pod work.
Yeah. It is.
I know, because this is definitely not tracking right now.
Dude, that's close.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's just like pitch black. You're out over the Taiwan Straits there.
Oh, man.
Like, that's not really what you want if you're just cruising around to have that thing show up on your wing.
Those are some of the darkest nights, too. Like flying over the Sea of Japan in the middle of the night with no moon.
Yeah.
And there's just no light.
Man.
No light. On the wing of a tanker, and you're like, I don't see a thing. I see 3 lights in space, and I'm like 50 feet from the tanker. You're like, this is so dangerous.
This is not where I want to be.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm trying to remember. It was someone going through pilot training or maybe the B course, and he was talking about being at Spang on the tanker. You know, he was a young flight lead, and one of the dudes in the formation was just spatial D, like you read about, and was just doing barrel rolls around the tanker. You're like, how terrifying and just close to tragedy that could have been. So,
night. Well, that
spicy.
Was Chaos. Bender, you remember Chaos was
Chaos.
a ADO.
Yeah, I remember in the old Tornado.
Yeah, and he said, I think there was a video of it that one of the dudes gets spatially D'd. He's literally doing barrel rolls around the tanker, and Chaos talks him off the ledge, talks him back onto his round dials, and gets him to recover his aircraft and not crash into any one of the at least 2 other aircraft that were around, which one of them being the massive tanker. Yeah, it's.
So I always found it like the minute I hit the weather, I would get spatial D, like if I was on the tanker and just feel like I'm in 90 degrees of bank. But then you're just fighting. Or if you're kind of in the soup where like there's clouds, but you're hanging out on the wing. I mean, by the time I got more and more experience, realized I feel like I'm in a right-hand turn and bank, but in reality, I'm just floating higher and higher on the tanker and had to force myself down low. But that's miserable.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Milk Bowl is the worst, where you almost feel like you can see far, but you don't know, and there's no horizon, or like false horizons. If there's any tanker pilots or boom operators listening, when you say coming left, can you start the turn like a second later? Because everybody is like, okay, we're going left. And then they don't turn. And then everybody on the wing does this weird twitch of no, we're not going now.
Just to shake your inner ear too.
Well, exactly. And that's what blows my mind. The other day we were in the clouds coming left. And then it seemed 10 seconds goes by before we actually start the turn. And I was like, oh, we're turning. And then I'm like, why are they still turning? Why are we? And I was like, oh no, now we're turning. And I was like, this is not my favorite place to be.
I got an email a few weeks ago and they wanted us to talk about tankers. I need to find it now.
Yeah, we can talk about tankers.
We can talk about tankers. He was a boom operator and wanted to hear some stories, which I feel like we've talked about booms. Let's see. I'll have to look while we talk about it. But I do feel like
between the three of us, like
the joke one. I mean, it's like they always find the clouds, but
Yeah,
I mean, tankers save the day.
Yeah.
Tankers save the day first and foremost, but they find every bit of weather out there.
Yeah. While
yeah, they make you earn it, which is I respect that.
Right. We're not gonna make this easy on them. They gotta earn it.
Like, you want our gas? Like, you better, you gotta work for this stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
It ain't free.
That's
You know,
awesome.
one thing that am I the only one who, when I call nose is cold, switch is safe, that my nose is not cold?
I've never had my nose cold.
I don't even know what it means.
Nose,
I just say
I
it.
assume it means my radar is not currently radiating while I'm running a rejoin on the tanker with my radar. So
Yeah.
my nose will be cold.
If that's what it means,
Yeah, that's what I assume.
I'm definitely lying.
Yeah.
My nose
like,
cold, switch is
okay.
safe. Yeah, sure.
When I'm a half mile away, like, yeah, I'll snooze my radar and I'll go get gas. But yeah, like when I'm 6 miles away on the rejoin, like, no. Nose is definitely not cold. Switches are safe. So you're welcome for that. Yeah. Sorry,
I
boom
found it.
operator.
It's just something we
Oh,
say.
Yeah. All right. This
Yeah.
Jordan, he sent this. This is a few weeks back, but September 25th. We haven't had a bro chat, in all fairness, since August. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's Jordan says, hey, I'm a KC-135 crew chief. If you have time on the next bro chat, can you guys tell a few good stories of hitting the 135 or KC-10? Well, Jordan, I think we can.
Yeah, we have a lot. I mean, between us, we have what, 5 deployments and then countless. I mean, Rain, how often were you hitting tankers as a demo pilot?
Fairly
Constantly.
frequently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fairly frequently.
Yeah.
If life was good.
Yeah.
Which shout
Yeah.
out to the Knoxville guys, McGee Tyson guys.
Oh.
They were always hooking me up because I just need that. If I can get gas over like Knoxville and the clean Viper, you pretty much can get like almost not to the West Coast, right? But for most air shows,
sipping
Yeah.
gas up there. Yeah.
get up in the high 40s.
I will say
That's
the
gold.
tanker units, they're the most bro units probably that there are.
Yeah.
Like, they're never fussy. They always hook you up when they can. So they got something good in their culture for sure. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
that's what I found.
I did my. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so I was agreeing. And I'll throw another name out there, Brad Byer. He's now retired. He sent me a message on Facebook not too long ago, but he was one that he would always hook us up, go into Heritage Flight, because we'd have not a complex thing, but like we'd have Raptors coming out of Langley, we'd have us, and then occasionally A10 meeting up there. Like those guys like always hooked us up, and same when I was like dragging westbound, like they just tanker guys just make it happen when they can.
They do.
Yeah, not to rain
Yeah.
on the tanker appreciation,
There we
because
go.
they do. They do. Yeah,
we can
buckle up.
sandwich it. We can
Yeah.
sandwich it. Good,
That's-
bad,
Yeah, it's
good.
the Oreo. We
Yeah.
learned this early in our careers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oreo
But
sandwich feedback. Here we go.
I'd say the only time where I've been like, all right, was when we're deployed and it is super dark, like over the Sea of Japan dark, no moon, no light. And the tanker has one light on the entire aircraft. And it is the boom light, this little like NVG compatible light for an entire, I don't know it's probably 70 feet long and got like a 90-foot wingspan or 100 and some foot wingspan, like a massive plane that has one light on and you're rejoining on it. And you're like, I can't see a thing with or without my MVGs. I'm going to run into this airplane, and not me, because I'm not going to ask for help. But other people would be like, hey, can you turn up your lights? And they'd be like, no, we can't. And this is a 135. And they're like, nope, sorry. So you would like the highest risk of their night, if they knew it or not, was not getting shot at. It was
Right.
getting run into by one of us who was too prideful to be like, hey, can you turn on your lights? Because I don't know where you are. But then you'd go to KC-10 and it'd be like a disco ball in the sky. So I don't know what it was about the 35s, specifically in the Iraq,
discipline.
Iraq area. But
Like
light discipline was strong.
Yeah, well, it's like, it turns out you're a huge chunk of metal. If anything was going to touch you, like that's the thing, it already sees you. So your lights don't matter.
It's not some man pad.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I got one, and this probably just start them. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful like February day, and I'm going from Shaw to Arizona. The skies cannot be any bluer, right? Like it's the most beautiful day you've ever seen in your entire life. Just to paint this picture. 3 ship of F-16s. We're coming out of Shaw. We got a 2 ship of Raptors coming out of Langley, and we're going to rejoin over Nashville with the tanker. The tanker's coming out of McConnell, and then we're all going to truck westbound, right? So we're all, a few moving pieces to time everyone, make sure they arrive at the same time, right? We're, I don't know, call it 28,000 feet. Again, it's really important to know it's the most beautiful day you've ever seen, because my number 2 goes lost wingman right as I initiate the rejoin with the tanker. And then he's gone. And this is over Nashville. He ends up like 4,000 feet low. I guess big sky theory, right? There's just no airliners down there, but it takes forever to get him back on board. 3 finally sees him, like talks my eyes onto him. We get him rejoined. The Raptors just hang out in the bozosphere because they're like, I'm not going to get my nose in it. But the Raptors also like trying to give me point outs because he found him. But I get behind the tanker, and I again cannot be any more stable because the air is just so clear and beautiful. And I'm just sitting back there, and they're not moving the boom. I'm talking to them. I'm trying to talk to them on the radio. Nothing. And then I'm starting to get tight on gas. So now I'm starting to get aggressive with my hand signals. It's like, put the boom in my jet. Like the door is open. It can't be any more open. Let's do this. And so we end up like on guard, getting to switch frequencies, getting a different frequency. He's like, hook up. He's like, sorry, sir, we weren't talking, so I couldn't hook up. I'm like, dude, I could not have been any more stable. And turns out you knew an F-16 and 2 other ones are going to show up right behind here. It's like, we couldn't talk to you on the radio. Like, how many times you disconnect? Like, just plug the jet. So that was like the not bro thing. He must have been like on a check ride or something. Like, nope, don't give him gas. We'll make him divert, Like,
which technically we have.
That's what I mean. It's supposed to be calm out anyway. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Like, I don't need to talk to you.
Don't you put that boom out if you don't want me to just go plug into it.
Yeah. Like we're stable.
Right?
We know what's
That's
going to
the
happen
kind
here.
of-
We've done this 1,000 times. Let's not play coy. Let's just make this happen.
Yeah.
Give me the gas.
Got to buy him dinner
Yeah.
first.
It happened to be in Guam this summer. We blasted in whatever. It was a complete mess anyway. But so a sortie out of Guam, we were supposed to hit the tanker or whatever. And then they were on some frequency, who knows. And nobody was controlling anything anyway. So couldn't get a hold of the tanker, but we could see him. So we like pull up, and then, we're pretty short on gas anyway. And they're just like, just orbiting. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. We have an ARCT. We just can't talk to each other.
Perfect.
But they're like, they just have that boom tucked away. They're like, we're not doing this until we get contact. So I like pulled into pre-contact. I'm just like, I need the gas, like to the boom operator who I can see like sitting there with the boom. I'm like, just make this happen, please, or whatever. And to their credit, they eventually did. We never like got radio contact with them, but we all just like, put it at like, we need it now, or like this whole entire mission is just gonna go home, and like we just wasted everybody's time. But
Yeah.
So they made it happen. But it's funny how often, it's not as smooth as we hope that it would be. It seems to always be a fight.
I mean,
But he put the boom out. I got the gas. It was
yeah.
good. It all worked out. Turns out you don't have to talk to anybody. So
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah. Well, Bender, on our deployment way back in the day, there was one night, I don't even remember what night it was. Nobody ever talked about like, hey, there's going to be like, I would say moderate to severe turbulence in the airspace. Nobody brought it up, but I like cruise over to the tanker because it's like, you're going to this AR track. So I like drive over there and I rejoin on the tanker, and it is insane. It is the most turbulent air I've ever flown in an F-16, and we're just hanging on. And they probably should have been like, this is too dangerous to get gas. They literally said, hey, we don't think it'll work, but you can try it. And at that point, I'd AR'd like 200 times in the last like month and a half. So I was like, I think I can make it happen. And it was like idle the mill, like unloading, adding like the whole spectrum of flight control inputs to stay on the boom. But they made it work. They easily could have been like, no, like this is like, cause I was all over the window just trying to stay on the boom, and they let it happen. So they must've been like, at the end of their 2 months there where they were very confident in our ability, and we'd been there for a while. But yeah, I appreciated whoever that crew was for helping like Weasel 5-2 get gas. Almost 10 years ago.
So old. There's definitely had some big gloves. Like the move, the tanker tracks down range, or just like come overhead or go wherever you need to. So again, this is me complimenting the tanker crews. Had tanker. I was with Poker. We were coming back. We're along the Iraqi border, western border, along Syria, flowing back. Bad weather day. Hit the tanker. She was a new boom operator, I assume, because, at this point, again, you've tanked so many times. I'm like hanging out on the wing, waiting for him to get gas. And she is just writing her name on top of the jet, hitting every antenna and just completely scratching it up. And you're like, dude, you have not moved 1 inch. Like, you can't be in a more perfect position. But I remember him. He was very short and tense at one point with her. Like, plug the jet right now, or we're having to divert to Erbil. She eventually figured it out. But, it spanned everything from like the ones you don't have to say anything. You just slide right in position, get your gas, go to everyone's new at some point, I guess.
Yeah. You get the old those. Like the guard tankers that are out there, and then you check in with the boom, and it's this guy, it's like 62-year-old boom operator, just, smoking for 75 years.
Yeah.
Before he came out of the boom. He's like, Chris, he's like, yeah, you're pre-contact, whatever. Like, this is gonna be a good night. Yeah. He doesn't care. He's probably not even looking out the window. He's just like, whatever, do your thing.
Yeah.
You always get you get good gas from those. The guard units that's where it's at.
Have you guys tanked off the KC-10 in your new fighter platforms? Can that KC-10 boom move you guys around like you can the Viper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the C model. Like, C model's a big jet. But yeah, it doesn't, it's not like the F-16, but but it's definitely noticeable. Like the 46, like you have like added power. Like you kind of stay high on the power. Like, oh man, this is, like, I can feel the jet pushing into the boom. Stand by.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, is that my door? You're muted, Rain. What were you saying? You gotta touch that mute button there, Rain.
Look at that, man. We were doing so good. Vader got a knock on the door, trying to cover it. I was just wondering, have you tanked off the KC-46, Bender? I
have, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty chill. It was in the day, though. I mean, actually, I think we did it at night, too. And it was fine. Yeah, it was, I don't remember, it didn't feel that different than the other tankers. I like KC-135s. That's my jam. Probably because we've done it over 1,000 times. KC-10s are fine, but it takes a little bit. It just feels like you sit way lower than you do on a KC-135. Yeah. So I'm never sure exactly where the right spot is. But KC-135s they're good, especially when they're like, hey, autopilot's off. And it's like, okay, this is going to be good. Because the autopilot on those things is just, it's a freaking nightmare. Where you're like, like 1.7 G's up, like 0.7 G's down, 1.7 G's up. Like for 20 minutes, like that's pretty miserable.
That's what.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I thought the 46 it feels like the KC-10. Like it seems very similar.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a big plane. Like, it is crazy how large that plane is compared. Like, the 135 to the KC-10 seems large, and then the KC-10 to the 46 doesn't seem that much larger, but you could tell it's like a big plane.
Is it bigger than a KC-10, the 46?
I don't know. I'd be guessing. Because it's a 7.6, right? 7.5,
yeah.
7.6?
So
it's 7.6, yeah. So, I don't know. Is that bigger than a DC-10? We should know these things, right? I'm not an airline pilot, so I assume you guys would know these things. But.
I was joking.
KC-10s are big. I mean, there's like 3 categories of airplanes. It's like the massive ones, which is KC-10 qualifies in my mind. Massive airplane.
C-17, C-5, yeah, 777.
Yeah, all those.
Yeah, 777 has to be enormous.
Yeah, there's different variants too.
Yeah.
777's big. I mean, when you take off weighing, 750,000 pounds, like that's a big plane. But I did joke. I joked the other day
That's how much
700
they weigh when they take off?
Yeah, I've taken off 766,000 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 766,000 pounds. Going Hong Kong to
is
Memphis.
Insane.
It's amazing. The thing flies. Too, right? 2 engines, and it's still got some left over.
What?
Yeah.
Gosh.
GE, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They are good motors.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
760,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. And, and then it can go fly for, 15 hours, 16 hours. Just.
Gosh. America. That's
America.
impressive.
I mean, some science and math was going on to make that happen. But
yeah.
God, that's
unfair. I thought when I heard 190,000 pounds out of a tank or whatever, I'm like, that's dangerous. But 760,000 pounds.
I think I mean a little bit different too. Like maybe call it 250,000, 245,000 pounds of gas. Probably 170,000 pounds
Just to
of
do
cargo.
some rough math.
Yeah.
How many gallons of gas? You said how much gas? 250,000.
Yeah, you can just call it 250. I mean, it's a lot of gas, and then go fly for
Only 37,000 gallons of gas sitting in that airplane.
Yeah. Wouldn't want a spark to go off.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
I was gonna
But
say,
the
yeah.
thing- here's
some
the
ways
thing. I think I've said it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've said it in public or not, but I was joking when I got hired, right? And then one of the guys in my class, Navy Top Gun dude, we were kind of joking because we got the tour of the ramp and we got a tour of the 7.6. And we're like, we're going to the 777. I couldn't pick a 777 up out of the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what an Eagle looks like. I know what a Raptor looks like. Flanker. I'm like a 7.6, 777. I mean, now I can. I got to see the wheels down. The main trucks on the 777's got 6 wheels. So there's the little cheater for you. A350's gotten
That's
easy
between
for me with the. What's that?
Yeah. I said the difference between a 7.6 and a 7.7 you were talking about? They look the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. That's like the easy button for me to figure it out. And
Uh-huh.
then a DC-10 versus, or I guess a KC-10 versus, or MD-11 versus like an MD-10 winglets. MD-11's got the winglets, so DC-10. Yeah, man, it's same for MD-10 basically.
Yeah,
Someone's
I can't
gonna hear
tell.
this, but like
When I
this
was-
gay's an idiot. He got all this wrong,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
whatever.
Every
Dude,
captain I flew with the Delta was like, this guy's an idiot. Because they'd be like, hey, follow the 7.3 or whatever. I'm like, I can't hit that, Can you give a
Yes.
tail number? Like, I have no idea. Or LaGuardia is like, especially when they get into the region, they're like, follow the CRJ whatever. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, I don't know what that
they're
is.
all CRJs. Like, dude, I have no idea. Can you count them off for me? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I feel
So,
like
and that didn't change. 9 months later, I still didn't know. So.
Yeah, it's not going to change even still.
the true aviation enthusiasts are like, gosh, these fighter pilots should like planes more. It's like, yeah, we like using planes for things, It's,
Yeah, they're tools to
Yeah.
be used.
Well, even when you brought up the video of the intercepts, I was, I had like a little bit of a, scared for a second that you would ask any of us to VID any of those videos. I'm like, don't do that. Even fighter jets. I'm like,
We'll play this game.
could
yeah, this will be fun. Yeah,
Don't do it.
stump the dummy.
won't be fun.
Don't do it. I was looking through this. Oh yeah, just go ahead and tell me what this guy is here. If I can't see
Everything's a MiG 29.
if I can't see the
Like
wanker, then I'm like, I don't know.
The problem over there too is that there we got a J10,
There you go, a little J10.
Which
and then we got the
See, I know the ones I don't want to see in real life. Like if I saw that in real life, I'm like, ugh.
I told you guys
That's
I
not good.
was in the elevator with J10 pilots, right? I told the story in Dubai.
On a FedEx trip,
No, this is one
or when you were on a
air show.
yeah.
It was like
Oh,
the
no.
What's that?
two Su-35. I got on the elevator, then 2 Su-35 pilots got on the elevator, and then 3 J10 pilots. And the elevator music's playing. It's just like do.
That's pretty righteous.
This
yeah.
is wild. But
Yeah.
seeing the J10 fly,
We should have them on a podcast.
yeah, they were super friendly.
were they? How was that? Was it pretty cold in there, just environment wise?
Yeah, so the Russians were pretty. They spoke English. The Chinese didn't speak any English, or they did, and they just didn't allude to it.
Yeah.
But the Russians were pretty personable. They wanted to see the Raptor, which at that air show, anyone could see the Raptor behind the cordon. So, oh yeah, we'll show you the Raptor, but we want to see the Su-35. So we had to show them the Raptor first. Like we said that it was a whole deal, right? Like coordinating it. So they came out the next morning to get a tour of the Raptor, and then the next day we went out to get a tour of the Su-35. When they didn't have any cordon, but they had like 6 film crews, like filming us walking around. We had all our maintainers and several other people walking around it, which it was interesting. They were fighter pilots, really. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
They just spoke Russian and flew Russian planes, but
The Su-35 is no joke too.
yeah.
That's like
That's a big
The
plus.
interesting
That's
aspect of
yeah, pretty
seeing its
capable.
demo, it is like it was doing Raptor-esque things, flipping and flopping around. But every day its demo was a different length, right? Because they can't take off with full internal gas and do all the crazy stuff. Unlike the Raptor, right? It's the same demo profile every single time. So if you're like, while you got apples and oranges, I think a testament to the performance of the Raptor when you're talking about doing all these crazy, defying physics maneuvers. The Su-35, while it can do some really cool stuff, seeing it in person and like really paying attention, like, oh, obviously maybe it was a little hotter on, Monday, so they're a little heavier on the throttle and they burn more gas. So they had to nix like 2 maneuvers out of it. So it's kind of interesting, I thought. But
yeah. Well, that, and
I'd
I
be
mean,
pretty nervous, I think, at an air show with the Su-35 doing its thing. I'd be like, you got to be ready to run, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like Russian air show pilots are performing.
Yeah.
I mean, the safety. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not sure, like, what their safety, mechanisms are over there. I know that the U.S. Air Force is pretty, I wouldn't say excessively, but, we're pretty conservative. But Su-35, I'd be like, is he going to make that turn, or is this going to be a fireball in the crowd?
The other thing, so like Dubai, it's a little bit different. Those air shows are so restrictive, unlike the U.S., right? You are in Canada, most watching are like, hey, you have a set of maneuvers that are like validated by your command and accepted by the FAA or Transport Canada, whatever it might be. Like they say, hey, we trust that your leadership has vetted this. But going to Dubai, and I think actually that air show is like happening right now. Everyone has a couple days to practice, and then they have to validate with the Emirati air traffic control. And they won like the takeoff. You guys seen the demo takeoff? Not a fan of that one. They won like 100 feet versus like 10 feet. And then they have all sorts of like altitude guns and lasers and all this stuff. So if you go too fast, if you go too low, they call you on it and they sit you. So if you don't qualify on the Sunday, then you can't fly for the Royal Day, which is like a big deal. They bring all the royals out for that. Same with like Bahrain. So Bahrain, when I did that show, this is like the second, my second year. First year in Dubai, all the leadership over there, Air Force leadership's like, hey, just play by their rules. Don't stir the pot. So, okay, yeah, sure. I'll just fly at 100 feet. It's lame. Go to Bahrain. I now know all these guys in A5. They've seen, me fly multiple times. And now we're over in Bahrain. The first day I talk with like their air traffic control, and like, you have to be at 50 feet or higher for the takeoff. I'm like, that's kind of lame, but whatever. So at night, I'm in the lounge with the colonel and some of his staff, and we're just talking. He goes, no, he's like, you don't change anything about your performance. I'm like, it's not a big deal for me to fly at 50 feet. It's lame to fly at 50 feet, but I can do it. And he goes, nope, don't change anything. That's not safe. I'm like, if I fly at 10 feet, this place is going to melt and it's going to come to you. He's like, nope, do it. So like the next day, I did the normal takeoff and it melted, but he wanted the fight. I think he was getting ready to retire. So he's like, bring it, The rest of the week I flew at 10 feet for the takeoff. So yeah, they got weird rules.
I've been in the back seat for that takeoff. It is no joke. You're like, oh, it's late. I'm like, it's terrifying actually is what it is. 50 feet is terrifying.
10 feet. How do you know the gear is still? Like, you're not going to... You pretty much just get the gear off the ground and then just bring up the gear and keep yourself there?
Yeah, just let me just be a champion. Don't descend.
Yeah, well, that's...
Yeah.
You're going to be really...
But you're in a Block 50, full afterburner. It's clean. Like, that jet does not want to descend. Like, you'd have to... Yeah, I mean, you could obviously scrape it into the ground, be just a big fireball, but you have to really... You have to push forward on that stick a little bit.
The old clean Block 50, man. What a freaking rocket ship. Yeah.
I remember we would climb out on radar-assisted trail departures in mil power, or you'd set like, 850, and you'd be 20 degrees nose high in the weather. And you'd be like, this is dangerous. But like the jet would do it, even not in mil power. And you're like, holy smokes, this is crazy.
Yep. That's the way it's meant to be. Yeah. I'm curious. I wonder, Block 70. I wonder how that guy performs.
Yeah, I heard that they're not because they made it way heavier.
The F-35 she's a slow.
She a slow climber?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that I heard that the porn.
She's slow to get up to speed.
But then once it's fast, it stays fast.
It's the stadium effect. Just expect 2-second delay for anything that's happening.
Yeah. Well, Vader and I have the exact same. Exact same tolerance for a pause. So F-35, she's a heavy beast, but she got a good motor. So she's slow. Like the takeoffs aren't impressive. It's just a lumbering thing. But once it gets fast, it'll outclimb up. Well, I don't know about a clean block 50, but it can climb like a freaking banshee once it gets quick. So that's pretty fun to see. I mean, you can be up in the high 30s, 15 degrees knots high accelerating. You're not bleeding off airspeeds, which is pretty cool. So it can get going, and it can't slow down. It's also heavy with no drag, so you get the nose down at an altitude like that, and just screams. So it can move, and then you try to turn it, and it's like you get the barn door out there, and it all falls apart. All that energy is just gone.
That's what I don't understand, because I'm not an aero major, so I don't actually understand how planes fly. But when it's like, oh yeah, it's like super fast, it's got tons of energy, it's got all this thrust, but the moment you start turning, it all goes away. And I'm like, wait a second, like, isn't it still flying? But I guess you're bleeding energy so atrociously fast that it's like it's gone before you make any use of that energy. I assume it's just a small wing.
Yeah, it got to be small, and you're absorbing all that energy. In
yeah, but
Gs
is it
through your body?
All that speed's going into your spine.
Right at the bottom of my spine.
But are you actually ripping 9Gs? Because everybody I've talked to is like, no, like you have to pretty much try to get 9Gs on the 35.
Yeah, you got to work hard for it. Yeah, I don't think I've pulled 9Gs in this airplane. I might have it when I on an AHC ride when I'm trying to do it. But no, I'm not trying to pull 9Gs. I think you can more frequently in high aspect type rides. I mean, the motor is like no joke. She's freaking pretty powerful. So low altitude, that thick air, and once you have airspeed on it, it's got a lot of thrusties. But the thing that's awesome I think a Viper is going to kick my butt every time. Like we get in a high aspect fight, I'm going to lose. But if I get behind a Viper, I mean, it's just, or even if a 3K with a Viper, I just want to try it one time, because you can go from 350 to 0 knots in, like 2 seconds. It's awesome. Because we have, it can overshoot the AOA or whatever. So you pull like it's max AOA to keep flying, and then you hit the wind button and it goes, it overshoots. And so then it just becomes like a falling giant piece of heavy metal. And a Viper can't. Like, what's a Viper going to do? It's just going to fly. It's going to fly right past it. You can't bleed energy like an F-35 can. So it doesn't sound like a strength, but it is. Like, because you can get to 0 flying airspeed like really quick.
Well, does it make the same
to the floor? But
like, do you make the same noises like in Top Gun? When you hit the brakes, like it's a lot of clicking. Those type noises in the cockpit.
Yeah, lots of slamming of little loose pieces of metal. No, it's not like that.
Yeah, man.
It's very like nice tracked throttle. It's very smooth feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stick moves. I can't remember. I think it moves a little bit more than a Viper stick. Right, the Viper stick didn't move at all, right?
It was a quarter of an
inch.
Maybe
a tiny bit of was that what it was? Quarter inch of play.
Yeah.
I think that 35 stick moves a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wish you guys could just fly it. It'd be fun to
I'd
see what you guys thought.
Yeah, I flew the sim, but not the real deal. So that's not real. But
it's like the demonstrator sim.
What's that?
It was like the demonstrator sim they take around to like air shows, or was it?
Oh no, I was out at Luke, so I flew Luke's full up sims, and it's capable. And the nice part is because it's like a follow on to the F-16. So like all the switches like do very similar things, and you're like, I don't know this, but I have an inkling what button I want to hit here, But yeah, it was cool. The thing I thought was sick was how you could just like with a lot of AOA and then just step on the rudder, and it just like, in the C model it's like aerodynamically you're moving your nose, but like in in the 35, it's like a very sterile, like a perfect nose movement rather than like my wing's stalling, my wing's not stalling, my wing's stalling, my wing's not stalling. You know, as you like kind of rotate around the sky in the C model. It seemed cool. I don't know how it really is in the plane.
Yeah. I mean, you have to fly it right to get it flat instead of, well, you described this, I think, on a previous episode where you think you're doing like this nice pedal turn, but you're just kind of like barrel rolling in the vertical down. That's what happens in the F-35 if you don't do it correctly. But,
I see, yeah.
So I flew with Brick the other day. Brick is one of Vader's friends. So he's new to our unit, so pretty new to the F-35. And he's like, I just want to practice defensive BFM, all day. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Like, anytime. So I got to be the offender the entire time. He's like, I just wanted to work on my pedal turns. Anyway, one of his last ones, he just like nailed it. Like, and I just watched the jet like in the horizontal just rotate around. Or I'm like, dude, like that's what it's supposed to look like. And that presents, hard problems or more difficult problems for the offender to stay behind. But I still gunned him. It was fine. It was good. But you have to get, if guys do it wrong, then you just have this spiraling airplane that, just like plummets beneath you, and then you just follow it and shoot it the entire time it's doing it. While I think they're doing this awesome defense, they're just getting gunned the entire time. But if you do it right, like flat like that, then if the offender doesn't do anything, then you overshoot or you get misaligned. But if you do it right, if you go kind of vertical and then follow through at the right time, then then you can follow it. But the F-35's it's interesting. I think there's some guys that could probably hold their own. If you're flying it like Brick flew that day, then I think you'd probably survive some engagements with some Vipers and stuff. But if you do it wrong, you're just gonna soak up a bunch of electron bullets.
It's all about getting slow. That's what you got to do. Just know the Viper is going to transition to offensive, and then when he goes for the gunshot, you're like, you do the Top Gun. You hit the brakes, and he's going to fly right by.
Yeah.
Just have him help you
really can. It's
transition
cool.
to offensive. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I know we're getting we're just a little over an hour. We're an hour and 2 minutes, so an hour of talking, 2 minutes of the intro, which we'll leave in. I cannot wait to hear how that plays back. Have we ever edited an intro out? No. Like, and we're not starting today.
No, but some are funny 15. And some are, bad. That one's going to be bad, so we should.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
It's probably a 2. Yeah, it's not going to be great, but
put some music over it, and it's going to sound hilarious.
Just pauses, stepping on one another.
Bleeding
a little
listeners
rusty
because they're like, this is the last straw. That was the last intro I was going to listen on this podcast before I quit.
I think since the last one though, right? Like, I think it'd be interesting to get your guys' take. Ukraine's getting F-16s. What do you guys think about Ukraine? I don't think we talked about that last time because it wasn't a thing, but now it's a thing in theory.
Yeah,
the Vipers in Ukraine.
Yeah, well, they're getting, because they're European, whatever. Like foreign military sales Vipers that are already in Europe that they're going to get. I think they're already training at Tucson.
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah.
I assume it is. It is Tucson. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they're already out there. And I talked to somebody who was knowledgeable on it, and I think it was like a 2-month course. Like, I think some of the dudes may already be on their way back, and then they're going to do like a quick top off over there, and then. Yeah, I think, somebody told me that the jets are like, because they're foreign military sales, so they're not exactly U.S., but they're like Block 52-esque. So like good thrust, like pretty advanced for F-16. But I think the question is like what like other than just jets to fly, like what performance is it providing? Like, it's probably providing a lot more than what MiG-29s were, or maybe still are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what the IADS looks like these days in Russia. I assume they still have some double-digit threats.
They have to.
Yeah.
Active, right? So it's not going to give you any more survivability, right, than a MiG-29 probably in that environment. Other than it's made. I assume they're going to shoot harms since they're shooting. Well, gosh, we got.
They are.
Open source.
That's open source.
That's open, right?
Yeah,
okay,
they had a MiG-29 shooting a harm. Oh, we gotta edit that. No, that was like a year ago. They put a harm, and you're like, Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so a Viper's made to do it. So I assume that's going to give them some additional capability as far as how effective they are with harms and stuff. Plus, I assume they're shooting U.S. missiles off the rails, which is going to give them some advantage in the air-to-air realm. So I think it is overall probably a much more capable fighter. But an SA-21 is going to house an F-16 as easily as it houses a MiG-29. So like that's the part.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
don't want to be that
I
guy.
brought into question the because would you feel comfortable jumping? Well, Vader, you're a perfect example. Like TX into the Eagle, but that's like U.S. to U.S. plane, not Soviet design to U.S. design. So you're talking language barriers, weapons differences, plane differences, like all those things. And then you got maintenance on top of that too, like maintenance and logistics. I think there's a lot of challenges.
It sounds like an easy fix. You're like, oh, sweet, just give them Vipers and they'll go wage war. And you're like, that doesn't. Yeah, like I finished my TX took 4 months, so cut that TX in half, 2 months. Could I have shown up? And I was already doing that mission set in another plane. So like I was already doing air to air in the F-16. It was like learn air to air in the C model, where they're like, they've never really done like seed, which I think it's probably just going to be a platform from which to do what they were doing now, so I don't think they're going to like break the mold and start doing seed like we know seed. I think they're going to do what they used to do just in a Viper now. Yeah. But I think it's going to be better just because it's a platform built for all those weapons that they were using rather than like having to trick and having all these, I don't know, having to science their way to being able to drop those bombs and shoot those missiles.
Well, I think to be fair too, I assume 2 months of your TX was just learning how to use chalk, right?
Yeah, that's true. That was the first month only was chalk. You can only take notes in chalk. You can
your lineup cards are all in chalk.
Yeah. You have a slate keyboard.
Oh man. That's oh man, we like to joke. Awesome. We like to have fun. Yeah. Well,
I kid.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I love it. But
you go draw angry things on your chalkboard that's in front of you that I can't see right now.
Well, what I do want to say before we get going, and I just want to say thank you to all the Kodiak Shack listeners. I do appreciate everybody, all the support you've given us, all the people that reached out. It sucks that we had to pause the podcast for an indefinite amount of time. Just life going crazy with work and ACSC, which 0 stars, do not recommend.
Nerd.
Yeah, but I guess I'm preparing to become a lieutenant colonel, which is insane that you just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, braided belts, here you come.
That's right. My Tevas. Which I have some actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like that's an actual thing.
Cut off jean shorts. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, my New Balance 904s.
You're still gonna sell the hats though, right? I assume. No new
that's
episodes.
Right. We've got
the
hats.
Always buy hats from Vader.
Always buy hats. Hats are always open. Thank you though, everybody. I do appreciate all the support. It's been awesome. And bro chats. Hopefully, we'll keep doing these and keep having fun.
Yeah, but I think we have to keep doing bro chats. Yeah. I mean, this would be the really crappy way to end the bro chats if you just.
We're not. Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
No, I guess if you pin on Lieutenant Colonel Vader, maybe you gotta call it something.
Well, I thought either one of you should be pinning on Lieutenant Colonel somewhere between the realm of 2 and 3 years before me. So.
Yeah. Well, you want to hear my? I don't think I'm gonna get promoted. My thing's coming up because my OPR didn't make it to the board with this whole switch, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, the OPB didn't. So did you do ACSC already, Rain?
I did it.
So you did that. You have a deck, I assume.
Yep.
You're gonna get promoted.
Well, so here, you know how like the new the OPRs are like narrative and then PRFs are narrative. This is a really long story. I'm gonna try to make it short. But the short story
is
the
bro chat talking about this either. By the way,
I know that's what I'm saying. Like all that happened was like it came back with, hey, just do it on the old OPR and we'll submit that, and it didn't get submitted in time. But this is how much sleep I'm losing over it. None.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they'll
you want
get
pull up
promoted
you want
eventually.
pull up the pictures again, and you can ID some of these things, so we
Yeah.
at least have something that's lethal.
Well,
as
that
we-
was
Yeah,
that was the
Vader.
funny part. The moment I started looking at him, I was like, I don't know what I actually can say, because then I'm going to talk myself into saying something that I'm not supposed to say.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
do that on most episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
fine. It's fine.
Say,
At least I feel like I
Before-
do lose sleep sometimes when we record, and I'm like, oh gosh,
Yeah, should I
is
have
that
said that?
open source?
Is that
Yeah.
is that okay for me to say?
Before the pictures up, probably J11, the Su 35, J16. I'm just gonna say all those names. Probably
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, those are all good.
Well, we could comment on the quality of some of this photography these guys did. Let me see.
Yeah, it's a great Polaroid.
Yeah, it's great. Look at that. You want to hold on to that.
Yeah.
I assume you can just take your phone and record everything you're doing in the old C model, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Just
no, you
unclass
can't. You know,
cockpit.
you can't. Yeah, pretty much. Well, steam gauges. Nobody cares about steam gauges these days.
This guy.
It's got an advanced motor though, or a radar.
Oh
rather.
yeah, that's definitely a
Yeah.
J11.
He's got a speed brake out too.
I
These
know. I
guys
was,
can't
I was
control
just thinking,
closure.
like, think about like how high these guys are, and like, I don't know. Do you need a speed brake when you're? I don't know. Whatever.
Well, apparently when you can't control
So
closure.
go back to
Yeah,
that
apparently
picture
so.
real quick.
50
I
knots
just
per
want you-
1,000 feet.
Which one?
guys.
The one that was just,
Just
the
that
speed brake.
Yeah, just to see the missile stations of that old
Yeah.
that guy.
Oh yeah, that's
So this is when this was on a podcast a while ago, but you know, this is the C model technique in a gunfight is if they roll up behind you is to quickly level your wings, go to AB, and then try to fly away from them. Right? Didn't you say that was what's your IP that one?
Oh,
This is why you don't do that. Like that guy is
right.
gonna shoot you
The
8
pet tricks.
times. And you're like,
yeah.
why is
Well,
that
'cause
part of
it's-
your like? Oh, this is
it's
a great
'cause
defense. We're just gonna go really fast in
the-
front of their nose.
Yeah, the assumption is that they don't have those advanced missiles. The assumption is you're fighting you got to the merge because they got nothing left. You just because honestly, like I think we all would. And Bender, you said this on a previous one. Like you're gonna rip every missile prior to that merge. You know, like if I'm there, it's like it's because I have no missiles left. So there is an argument like, hey, if there's no missiles, then hey, like getting slow with them is probably not where you want to be. Because gunning someone at 600 knots at the floor is super
Yeah.
difficult.
That's
I've
true.
done that in
That's
sim many a
difficult.
time.
That's a problem.
I mean,
I
the
don't think they
challenge
can
there,
shoot
though.
all those missiles.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I got like 14 of them.
That's like a lot of missiles. And are you going to bank that they just don't have one that you just didn't see? Maybe.
That's true.
Yeah,
Go merge with the Somali. That's probably where it's going to be. Be like a,
yeah.
I don't know what they'd be in, like a Cessna.
Yeah. Sopwith Camel. Just
Yeah,
something like-
right.
just a canvas airplane. My radar can't
Oh.
lock him. He lives in the notch.
Oh, good times.
Good times.
Yeah. Well, Vader, is there anything else you want to say? I think you should just wrap this thing up since this is going to close out the Kodiak Shack for a week or two before you're back.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you all the Reigns Patreon subscribers and
Hey, you missed that, Bender, in the beginning.
Still waiting on that
yeah.
paycheck. Ray.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
he said it, but we didn't hear it.
Right.
We'll find
know
out in
the
post.
playback. Yeah, we'll find out in
Yeah.
playback.
But thank you everybody, KSP
the intro
listeners.
is me not saying anything.
Yeah, all of us
Okay.
just kind of wondering why the connection was bad.
Well, it was a good connection to start with. That's the thing. It was great before we hit record. Sorry. You had a great closing going. I don't want to interrupt you anymore.
No, it's good. But it's been great. We'll get another one of these bro chats on the calendar, and we'll keep pumping these out. But thank you everybody. We appreciate it, and reach out to Rain if there's more topics or pictures you want us to comment on, especially bad rejoins and
it's a wheelhouse.
scary plane videos. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Awesome. See you guys.
See ya.